Today, I'm making the unexpected return to the place where I originally faced my fears. Come on with me. This is the abandoned train trestle known as the Jessup Viaduct. The last time trains crossed this bridge was in the 1980s. But if you want to cross it with me today, all you got to do is come along with me. Here we go. We're going to do it once again. Be careful with your footing. There's a lot of hazards. We're going to stick to the center. So if you're coming behind me, take your time and enjoy the views along the way. Now it's been some time since I've crossed this bridge. It's been a couple of years. Now I have crossed it 2 or 3 times on camera. My initial crossing where I faced my fears, I think it was around 2019. That's where I got less than halfway out and almost had a panic attack. I thought I couldn't do it. I almost felt frozen in place, but thankfully I pressed on, got out of my comfort zone and made it across. I have crossed it since then, on camera and off camera. I even brought Lily here. We crossed it together, I think twice, if I'm not mistaken. But that was over 2 years ago. So it's been at least 2 years since I've crossed this trestle. As I'm making my way across, I will put some stats on the screen as far as length of the bridge, the height, year built, but Conrail last crossed this bridge in the 1980s, and I believe I have a photo or two that was taken from up there showing the the train coming across the bridge this way. Now, if you have a fear of heights like me, then you definitely know my trepidation when it comes to places like this. But since I have crossed it and I know it's safe for the most part, I am willing to do it again. But I have come across some other trestles and bridges in more recent times, which I have documented as well, where there was a huge gap of missing ties. I was actually with RJ. RJ had no trouble at all. I couldn't do it. I couldn't cross the bridge. It stopped me in my tracks, literally. No pun intended. So this one is for the most part intact. Despite it not being used in decades, it's holding up really well. The only thing is that the walkway here, I wouldn't utilize that. There's not really any significant supporting or bracing underneath it. There's missing planks, and you don't know how weak they are. At least in the ties are laying on beams, which are anchored to the tracks. It's much safer where I am here. So I'm not going to show you each and every footstep along the way, but we're going to make it all the way across. That is the Delaware-Lackawanna line, and Steamtown also uses that too, going to Tobyhanna and Gouldsboro, but DL uses that more frequently. And looking off in the other direction where the tracks go, that is going towards Interstate 380. There's a big rock cut up there, and that is where, around that bend up there, is where the 380 bridges are being replaced. And it's also where the old town of Greenville used to be, where I did document as well. So I did document that area. Once you cross here, the track does split. It goes to the left, to the right. To the left, it goes across another train bridge, which is being utilized currently. It's a truss bridge for the construction zone. To the right would go towards and through the Naples yard. So far, so good. How you guys doing? Making it okay? And just to point out, I have said it and explained it in the past. In case you're new to the channel or aren't familiar with railroads, you know there's 2 sets of tracks here. Initially, when I was younger, I thought, oh, I guess smaller trains came across here too. But I noticed the inner tracks or smaller tracks or closer gauge were only typically on bridges. So it made me wonder, what's that for? Well, I later found out as an adult that these are used for derailing. So if the train was coming across and was to derail one direction or the other, these inner tracks would catch the wheels or the flanges and help prevent it from going over and causing a big catastrophe. So this is a derail catcher, so to speak, and a catastrophe preventer, if that makes sense. But it's just literally to stop it from going farther off rail and prevent it from going too far from one direction to the other. It's a world of difference now than it was my first time across here. I'm still nervous, but I'm not freaking out like I used to. I don't like the wind picking up though. So if it gets really gusty, I may huddle down to the rail. A little nerve-wracking. As long as I'm staying focused, like talking to you guys, watching my next footstep, I'm pretty good. But if I was to stop and linger and do nothing, it would get the best of me probably, and I would have an issue continuing. I'm going to stop right here and give you some views. Someone's been here. Hopefully not Little Red Riding Hood. This is looking down below. We are over the highest point right now, which is over the water. So whatever the height is measured from there, the base, the highest, lowest point. And there's looking upstream. Water is kind of cloudy and murky. We've had off and on thunderstorms in the area. Hopefully I don't get caught in one of those while I'm here. But yeah, we're doing pretty good progress so far looking back. We're not nearly halfway yet, and those clouds do not look good, so I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit here. And we're going to make it all the way to the other side, see if it still looks as how I remember it. There are a few rotted ties back there, and up here it's getting a little bit worse, but not all that bad. There's a tree growing out of the middle here. There's some more of those rotted ties, which I don't like looking at. And there's some missing planks and some rotted planks, so just big step over this here. The nerves are there, but overall I feel good. I'm beyond the halfway point, so the worst is over for now until we have to cross it back. Now for those who are not afraid of heights, this is a breeze, you know, a walk in the park for those people, and all the more power to them. I'm definitely a person that likes underground rather than being up high. But I don't mind pushing my comfort zone just a little bit every now and then to kind of get the adrenaline going, bring the nerves back into play, and just to kind of let you know, yes, you're alive, you're out there doing things, if that makes sense. And each and every time I cross this, I feel like I accomplished something. It's like a mini goal that I accomplish, and I feel better once it's all said and done, because I'm like, yep, I just did that. Where years and years ago I wouldn't even be able to think about it, never mind do it. So I don't know, fear of heights is not going away. I guess I'm just learning to manage it better, if that makes any sense at all. I think it does. All right, we're in the home stretch here. This is where nature is literally reclaiming, trees growing up and surrounding it. So we just got to watch ourselves so we don't get poked in the eye or clotheslined by a branch. All right, we're almost there. These ties are kind of slippery over here. They're covered in moss and they're wet and damp. So a little bit of slickness to them, which is not ideal, but we're not running or anything, so I'm gonna go over here to the edge where it's clearer. And almost there. All right, we did it. And I say we because you're coming along with this adventure, right? Of course you are. You're doing that by watching right now. This is basically a barrier. The line does continue. It goes around a sweeping bend and then eventually meets up with a switch where it can either go straight or go to the right. So it doesn't exactly fork right here, but there was a switch less than 100 yards from here that does allow it to go in that direction. But this is one of my favorite train bridges and lines that I've documented. I've documented the lines in all different directions. So actually down in the description, I will put links to all my explorations of the Erie line I've done so far. The most recent one I did earlier this year, actually, that's a good segue for that, is that earlier this year I did I think it was a part 5 Erie line. That was over, so not far from here. If we were to continue off the bridge, make a left, it'll take us out to the road where there's a gas station. Well, crossing the gas station, I went in that direction and followed the Erie line to the landfill. So that same line that we documented in part 5 came across this bridge. So this would have went in that same direction. And I did make reference to this bridge in that video. So part 5 is my most recent section of the Erie line, which is related to this particular bridge right here. It is super humid out. I'm sweating like crazy. I'm gonna get some water, snap some photos, and make my return trip to the other side. We did it. Success. We crossed over the abandoned Erie Jessup Viaduct twice. And I feel good, as we should. If you are here for the first time, first I want to welcome you to the channel. I definitely encourage and suggest you check the links down below in the description of where I crossed this for the very first time. And you can see the initial fear I had, which almost prevented me from going across, but also my documentation of the different parts of the Erie line. I also have a playlist down below too with videos similar to this one. And if you are not here for the first time, if you're a regular, well, welcome back. I'm glad you're here with me today. Glad you decided to tune in and cross this impressive bridge with me and to relive the memories I made many years ago. Well, I wouldn't say many, but a few years ago. Regardless. With that being said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. More importantly, thank you for coming along on this adventure here. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. The e-bike really makes life easier when it comes to these types of videos. It would be about a 40-45 minute walk for me to walk here, since my initial access is now posted and off limits. Now it's just a 10-minute ride. So I have no complaints at all. I'm happy to get out of here quickly and easily and not be exhausted and dead tired by the time I get back to my vehicle. Enough of me rambling. I just want to say, wherever you are, stay safe, take care, and to get out and explore your world. As always, I'll see you in the next video.